Tides of Temptation. Chapter 3, Echoes of Desire. Elysium Bistro awaited, its rhythm as unrelenting as ever. Lila arrived just as the morning rush began, the financial district awakening with the clatter of heels on sidewalks and the hum of early meetings. The bistro's polished interior gleamed under the chandeliers, the scent of freshly ground coffee mingling with baking croissants, a comforting routine that grounded her amid the chaos of her thoughts. She tied on her apron, its fabric cool against her waist, and dove into the fray, balancing trays laden with porcelain cups and delicate pastries, her slender arms flexing with the effort. Table 4 needs refills, her manager barked, a harried woman with a clipboard perpetually in hand. Lila nodded, weaving through the crowded booths, memorizing orders with the precision of a student cramming for exams, cappuccinos for the group of suits debating stocks, avocado toast for the solo diner buried in her laptop. The shift blurred into a tapestry of interactions, each one a thread in the fabric of her daily survival. Polite smiles exchanged with the regulars, like the elderly gentleman who always requested extra cream with his tea and shared stories of bygone city days, his wrinkled hands trembling slightly as he stirred his cup. Deft deflections for the occasional flirtatious glance from patrons who let their eyes linger too long on the gentle swell of her breasts beneath the crisp blouse or the hypnotic sway of her hips as she navigated the narrow aisles with graceful efficiency. Tips accumulated gradually in her apron pocket, crisp bills folded neatly alongside scattered coins, each one a small victory that she mentally allocated toward her mounting expenses. A portion for the next graphic design textbook with its glossy pages promising new techniques, another to stave off the landlord's insistent knocks and late fees that loomed like shadows over her modest studio. By midday, as the lunch crowd swelled and the kitchen's clamor reached a fever pitch, fatigue began to set in, a familiar weight pressing on her shoulders. Her feet throbbed persistently in the sensible black flats, fresh blisters forming along the edges where the leather chafed against her skin, persistent reminders of the relentless grind that defined her existence. Yet, amid the bustle, she carved out fleeting moments of solace, perching briefly on a stool during rare lulls to sketch quick designs on crumpled napkins, her fingers, nimble and ink-stained from hurried notes, dancing across the paper with visions of bold logos, intricate layouts, and vibrant color palettes that whispered of a future unbound by trays and timers, a creative escape that fueled her quiet determination. One customer stood out that afternoon, a sharply dressed man in his 30s, with a jawline shadowed by designer stubble and eyes that tracked her with quiet intensity. He ordered a simple espresso, his voice smooth as he complimented her efficiency, his gaze meeting hers with a subtle warmth as she poured. When he paid, he left a generous tip, $50 on a $5 bill, and scrawled his phone number beneath it with a polite smile, the note reading, "For a private arrangement, text if interested." Intrigued by the implication and the extra cash it promised, Lila pocketed the bill and, during a quiet moment in the break room, pulled out her phone. Her fingers hovered briefly before typing, 11 p.m. She hit send, a mix of curiosity and necessity overriding any hesitation. The bills wouldn't pay themselves, after all. As her shift wound down and twilight draped Eclipse City in hues of indigo, Lila clocked out around 11 p.m., the bistro's lights dimming behind her as she stepped into the dimly lit parking lot, the air cool and laced with exhaust from passing cars. He was waiting next to his sleek sedan, his posture relaxed yet expectant. Without a word, he unlocked the doors and slid into the driver's seat. Lila followed suit, settling into the passenger side, the leather cool against her thighs. The interior smelled of expensive cologne and polished wood, a stark contrast to her modest life. He wasted no time, unzipping his pants to reveal his throbbing member, already hard and veined, pulsing with anticipation in the dim glow of the dashboard lights. Lila leaned over slowly, her dark waves cascading forward like a silken curtain, brushing against his thigh as she drew closer. The musky scent of his arousal filled the confined space, mingling with the leather's richness, heightening her senses. Her plush lips parted, hovering teasingly near the smooth head, her warm breath fanning over the sensitive skin, eliciting a low groan from him. She started with light, exploratory licks, her tongue tracing the underside's prominent vein with languid strokes, savoring the salty tang as she swirled around the tip, lapping at the bead of precum that glistened there. His hand rested lightly on her head, fingers threading through her waves without force, guiding her as she enveloped him fully, lips stretching around his girth, cheeks hollowing with gentle suction. The rhythm built sensually, her head bobbing in deliberate motions, tongue undulating against him in waves that drew deeper moans, the wet sounds echoing softly in the car. His thighs tensed under her touch, muscles corded and warm, as she cupped his heavy sacks, massaging them with tender squeezes, her nails grazing the velvety skin beneath. It was brief yet intensely transactional, his release surging in hot, pulsing spurts down her throat, which she swallowed with graceful ease, her throat working around him until he was spent. He cleaned up abruptly with a tissue from the glove compartment, then reached into his wallet, handing her a couple $100 with a curt nod. "Good," he murmured, signaling the end. Lila stepped out, the door clicking shut behind her as he started the engine and drove away into the night. She walked to the nearby bus stop, the cool evening breeze whispering against her skin, carrying the faint hum of the city that never truly slept. The bus arrived with a hiss of brakes, its interior a dimly lit sanctuary of worn seats and flickering overhead lights, sparsely occupied by a few late-night commuters lost in their phones or staring out into the neon-streaked darkness. Lila slid into a window seat at the back, the vinyl cool beneath her, and as the bus lurched forward through the glowing veins of Eclipse City, she leaned her head against the glass, the vibrations rumbling through her body like a distant echo of desire. The taste of him lingered on her tongue, salty and thick, a forbidden residue that made her lick her lips unconsciously, her mouth still tingling from the stretch and heat of his cock. Her pussy ached with a deep, insistent throb, sore from the wild night at the club with Mia and Jax, their tongues and fingers leaving her swollen and sensitive, every bump in the road sending a jolt straight to her core, making her thighs press together in vain attempt to quell the need. She missed the girls fiercely, their soft curves. The way Mia's lithe body had ground against hers, Jax's strong hands pinning her down, but tonight's encounter had stirred something else, a craving for a man to claim her fully, to fill her mouth with that fat, throbbing cock again, then slide deep into her dripping pussy, stretching her wide until she screamed, and finally, after their wed, or perhaps just in the heat of the moment, to take her tight anus, pounding relentlessly until she shattered in ecstasy. The thoughts flooded her, making her shift in her seat, her nipples hardening against her bra as the bus swayed, her breath coming in shallow pants, the ache building to an unbearable edge she couldn't satisfy here, leaving her wet and wanting as the city lights blurred past.